In this tutorial, I will show you how easy it is to make your own unique Christmas ornaments. These beautiful ornaments require few materials and a small quantity too, and the technique is not so difficult to master. The project is entirely a no-sew project. So, these are tools and materials. Satin ribbons, beads. I used pearl beads, 8 millimeters. Lighter or candle, sharp scissors, hot glue gun and glue, tweezers, thin wire, bead caps. Not all types of ribbons are suitable. Only satin ribbons will do, as they are the most pliable and smoothest. They also keep their shape well and shine. Satin ribbons might be single-faced and double-faced. Single-faced are smooth and shiny only on one side, and double-faced are smooth and shiny on both sides. I think it's best to use 2.5 inches wide ribbons. A 2.5 inches wide ribbon is easy to fold and is more convenient to use. It keeps its shape well and it's not too difficult to handle. Smaller ribbons are more difficult to work with. Use only satin ribbons made from synthetic materials, polyester and nylon. Don't use ribbons made from natural silk. For no-sew projects, where the material is not in contact with skin, I prefer to work with artificial fibers. They melt but don't burn, and polyester is a flame-resistant material. Now step-by-step instructions. Step 1. Cut the satin ribbons into squares. We need a total of 12 squares. The ribbon we use is 2.5 inches wide, so we will mark 12 pieces of 2.5 inches on the ribbon. Extreme precision is not really important here. Fractions of a millimeter are not going to make a big difference. When working with ribbon pieces, the main disadvantage is the edge fraying on the cut. In order to prevent this, I put the cut edge for a very short time through the low flame. Not enough to damage the material, but enough to melt the stray fibers and allow me to smooth it by hand. Of course, the original ribbon edges are processed at the factory and we only need to deal with the 2 cut lines from each square. Pay attention to the safety procedures and also pay attention to avoid smoking the ribbon. It takes probably only 1-2 seconds to process each cut line. Now, important safety note. Every time you are working with an open flame, as it will be the case here, you will need to pay special attention to your safety and take extra care. Never leave the flame unattended. Always extinguish the flame when you are done or when you take a break. Never leave flammable materials around the flame. Handle with care any materials near the flame. Always keep your kitchen fire extinguisher handy. Work with flame near your kitchen sink. Fire is not a toy. Never leave children, especially small children, around the candle or alone in a place where fire can be easily started. This method of sealing the fraying polyester ribbon edges is well known. I didn't invent it and described in many tutorials. For example, you may read about it in this article, How to Stop Ribbon Fraying, or see it in this YouTube video. You will need a candle or a lighter. I recommend a candle with a low flame. A lighter will be more difficult to handle and it will occupy your hands. A candle leaves both hands free to work on the material. Repeat the operation for all 12 squares. Step 2. Fold a petal from each square. Seal the corners with flame. We now fold the ribbon in a triangle by bringing 2 opposite corners together. Then fold it again. You will end up with a small triangle. Do not iron the resulting triangle. We need it to show nice folds. It will become clear later. As you fold the piece, you will have to seal the corners immediately. The triangles so formed tend to unravel, so we need to either sew the corners together, which is possible, or because my polyester ribbon is melting in the flame, I chose to seal the corners using the flame. Using tweezers, hold the corner together 1/4 inch from the corner, then place it inside the flame briefly. Then smooth it between your index finger and thumb. Test it first on a piece of scrap ribbon until you get the hang of it. If done correctly, the material will melt just a little at the very edges, and that's all we need. As you can see, it is safe to touch the material immediately after. It will be warm but not very hot, but you can certainly wear finger protectors or even special quilting gloves. You need to repeat this for all 12 squares. Before we go further, I would like to tell you this. If you would like to make the ornament, you will need to find this video later, right? So press the like sign under this video and it will be in your liked videos on YouTube. Very easy to find later, and also subscribe to my channel. I have other interesting videos with sewing tutorials and some no-sew projects. Step 3. Put together 3 triangles to form 1/4 of the ornament. We now take 3 of the triangles and arrange them like this. Note that the fold and the loop alternate. You cannot get it wrong as long as you make sure the fold and the loop alternate. The side we look at here has a fold in the middle and loops on the outside. But if you look at the other side of the triangles, you will see the folds are on the outside and the loop in the middle. We now need to make sure the ensemble of the 3 triangles arranged this way will not unravel. So we will again go to our flame and seal the corner using the same method used with a single item above. Please note that I have used the clip to help keep the 3 items together until the corners are processed. But this is not really necessary. What is necessary is to make sure you align the corners and the edges correctly. Repeat the procedure 3 more times using all the 12 original pieces. After this exercise, we end up with 4 similar pieces like this. Check if all the corners are sealed together completely. Step 4. Put together 2 quarters to make half of the ornament. We will now glue the quarters and we will get 2 halves of the ornament. We use a hot glue gun for this. Carefully apply hot glue to 1 quarter, then stick a second one to it, making sure they align properly. You will notice that when we join the 2, we will make sure that the joined piece has loops and folds alternating. We then repeat the operation with the remaining 2 quarters. After this, we will have the 2 halves of the ornament ready to be joined together. Before the final step, I decided to add some embellishments to the ornament, and I decided to mount a small bead in every loop. I used 8mm pearl beads, and I also used hot glue to set the beads in the folds. I decided to mount the beads before I made the full ornament for 2 reasons. It's easier to manipulate a small object, and I also wanted to minimize the number of manipulations the ornament will undergo. I was afraid it might be fragile and come apart. The truth is, the hot glue and the satin ribbon made the ornament quite sturdy. I did not have any problems with it coming apart later, even if I did subject it to certain stress. Apply a small drop of hot glue to the bead and place it in the fold. Allow a couple of seconds to set. Step 5. Join the two halves together. We now have two halves of the ornament. We need to join them together to make the full ornament body. When I did this the first time, I made a mistake and I forgot to put in the middle the metallic wire that will form the hook. So I had to take it apart and glue again. Do not repeat my mistake. Remember the wire. Below is the body of the ornament after the two halves were assembled. Again, allow a couple of seconds for the glue to set. Step 6. Attach bead caps. We now need only to attach the embellishment accent items, the bead caps. In my case, I used silver color beads. They go very well with the pink color of the ribbon. At the upper point of the ornament, I used not one but two bead caps because it seemed to me one looked kind of poor on the ornament. Two cover the end much better. Both are attached with a drop of hot glue. I repeated the operation for the second lower end, where I also attached two bead caps, but one had a more elongated shape. After attaching the bead caps, you will need to make sure the petals of the caps are properly touching the ornament and hiding completely the glue and any other hint of assembly. Step 7. trim the metallic wire and make the hanging loop. I used my craft scissors to cut the wire to length, then my tweezers to bend it and create a hanging loop. The wire is not difficult to bend, but that's okay, the ornament is lightweight. Okay, that's it. As you can see, everything is quite simple. The main thing is to start, and then you will not be able to stop. The result, judge for yourself.